Northwest Europe?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when did you join? You joined in after Dieppe, didn't you?
I joined it just after.
Yeah.
It's about a fortnight.
Yeah. You missed Dieppe.
Yeah, that's where I picked up my green beret. Because I was up at Atnacarry doing the training to get the green beret while these lads were pouncing around in France.
Yeah, enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Well, we let him in, he's not a bad chap.
I was up in Atnacarry last month.
Was you?
Amazing place, isn't it?
There, 1942.
Yeah.
What a place.
That's a men from boys' place.
I bet it was.
What a place.
It really was.
Beautiful place, but you probably hated it by the end, did you?
Yeah. Good, with a lot of good tries and we come through. Yeah.
You didn't get returned to unit.
Oh, seen them cry.
I bet.
Seen them cry. Like good men, really.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't pass the various things that we had to do up there, everything was timed. You had to do it within a certain time. And if you were maybe a couple of minutes over the top, that was it. After you, it really hit some of the characters that really wanted to be there.
Yeah.
That's true,
But there was no messing.
yeah.
The dead wood had to be got rid of.
Yeah.
And yet, some of them would have been alright.
Yeah, of course.
You never know.
And some of them probably did alright in their units that they were returned to.
They probably would have done. Yeah.
We had very good officers.
I
Good
read
leaders.
you like your officer at D-Day, didn't you?
Peter Young.
Peter Young, yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounded very brave.
DSO and bar, MC and 2 bars.
Yes. And he always said his men got in that.
Yeah.
There's one thing about Peter,
When did he die? Was
he was only, well, younger, he was 73 when he passed on. And he had no children, like, followed no one. Good bloke, Peter.
I saw an interview with Peter. I saw an interview he did in 1972.
Right.
A documentary about Dieppe.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was only successful. He was successful.
Yeah.
So to a point, he couldn't.
He did quite well at Dieppe.
He
went
couldn't
up over
take the
cliff.
battery.
No.
Yeah. He climbed up on the pegs. Wonderful. Yeah.
He's a great character.
Good.
The great moustache.
That's it, big.
Can you look at Dan? Just
Yeah.
look at Dan.
Look at him. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's alright.
Big moustache.
Yeah, that's right. It looked like a curly one.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we used to call him Bunny because if he looked at you, you couldn't kid to him. He would look right through you. Yeah. He was a good bloke.
And did you fought with him all the way through Northwest Europe, did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where did you end the war?
Well, no, he didn't. Not all the way.
No.
They withdrew him out, sent him out to Burma as second in command of, I think it was the 4th Commando Brigade, which was out in Burma.
Right.
And I think he was sent out as the 2IC, the brigade.
Right.
That would be a full colonel.
Yeah.
And he had a battle with the Japs and beat them.
Right. I bet you guys are glad you didn't head out to Burma.
Pardon?
I bet you're glad you missed Burma and stayed in Europe.
Well, I'm glad I did, really. They had it tough out there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have fancied that.
No, I wouldn't have fancied
But then if
But
we'd
if
been
we
sent
were
out there,
due-
we would have done it.
Oh, of course you would. Yeah.
We were due to go after the German collapse.
Yeah, of course you would.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd never come back.
Yeah.
But there you are, that was
My granddad was in the Canadian Navy, and his ship was due to go on the Japanese invasion. He was very glad he never had to do that.
Yeah. Oh, they had it tough in Burma. Yeah, soldiers. Yeah, I think so.
They called themselves a forgotten army, and they were really, because it's very rare that anything ever appeared in our newspapers about what was going on out there. It was all the European front or the Italian front or whatever.
Must be a few Burma vets in the hospital with you guys, aren't there?
Pardon?
Must be a few Burma vets in the hospital with you guys.
There's not, but believe it or not, in Chelsea Hospital, there's not many Second World War boys in there. There's a few, of course,
Yeah.
but not many.
No,
All the youngsters coming through now.
no, but a lot of them are sort of
The passed on, of course.
Middle
because of the stairs, but I watched Chelsea in 1945 when they played the Moscow Dynamos. Yeah, I did. And shall I tell you how I got in? I was in uniform, and there was a chap walking along. I always remember this. He had come out of hospital, and in those days he used to have a blue uniform with a red tie, white shirt, and walking on his own. I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "To the football match." So I said, "I'm your minder," and I walked in with him.
Nice. Who won?
I think it was a draw. I can't remember really. I think, yeah, I'm not sure.
Are you from that part of London originally?
I lived I'm Cockney really.
Oh.
Yeah, I was born in Old Street.
Ah.
Yes.
Changed around there now?
Yeah, yeah. I was there during the bombing before I joined the army. You know, the London bombing, and we all joined the army at 16.
Yeah?
Yeah. All told lies, 19. They know they. Well, they needed a few old boys, a few youngsters.
Everybody was doing it.
Everybody.
All the young lads
yeah,
well, age up.
It was a funny old time, that was.
Yeah. No, I went in a little bit earlier than Fred.
Yeah.
I went in on my 17th birthday.
Yeah.
I think that was in March 40, just before Dunkirk.
Oh, right.
Just before
Which
Dunkirk.
unit did you join?
The Buffs, the Rory's,
Oh, yeah.
Rory's Kent Regiment.
Yeah.
And I was in them up until 42 when I joined number 3 Commando.
The East Kents, they were at Dunkirk, weren't they? Did they have a battalion at Dunkirk?
Where?
Did they have a battalion at
I
Dunkirk?
don't think so.
Yeah,
Well,
second battalion.
Second, I think I did.
yeah.
Because I was, all us young chaps, we got through 6 weeks of training
Yeah.
and they got 150 of us to go out as reinforcements to the second battalion.
Yeah.
And we had a major in charge of us. Always remember his name, it was Major Dare, and he was an Irishman, a fiery character. And we were going out to join the second battalion out on the Belgian frontier.
Yeah.
And we marched all the way from Canterbury with FSMO, sweating hot. We get down to Dover, they put us in a sort of a warehouse, and they left us there for 3 days, and the 2 destroyers that were supposed to be picking us up never turned up, because we didn't realise at the time they were over the other side, started to bring back the lads from Dunkirk.
So you never went across?
So all the way back to Canterbury.
Okay, Dan, so, chaps, we're ready to start the interview
Right,
now.
chaps, we're ready to start, but it will be just
All the
much,
cameras are going.
much the same, just a few questions, a few answers. If you want to have a go at something the second time, just say it again, no problem.
Yeah.
We can do all the magic afterwards and just use the best bits, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I suppose first of all, I'll ask you all to start here. What about the training? I mean, sort of at the carry, that would have set you up for the amphibious landings, I
Oh,
suppose.
yes. They came round they sent an officer and a sergeant round to all the battalions in the southeastern command, and volunteers wanted for special service troops. So I put my name down in 1941, but I went for the interview with the officer, who turned out to be Peter Young, and the sergeant, and he said, "Yes, I accept you, but," he said, "you're too young." Because at that time I was a full corporal, they were only taking lance corporals and corporals. And he said, "I'm afraid you're a bit too young." I wasn't really, because my army age was 19, you see. I put my age up. And so he said, "I shall be back here in 6 months' time, so we'll have another go and see how you're getting on then." So I went, 6 months' time, I went back there, got accepted, and waited about 6 weeks to get up to at the carry. And I think it must have been about May or June when we went up there. There was a whole trainload of us went from St Pancras, all destined for Atna Carry, all in Southern Command. Of course, we were all very jolly, weren't we? We'd been accepted and we were going up there to be a commando, all great. And we arrived there eventually, after changing trains at Glasgow, onto a different type track, because it was a local whistle-stop train. And we arrived there, and there was one chap in there. There's a small car park there. There was one chap there with a green beret, a sergeant, white belt, white gaiters, and he's just standing there looking at us. We've all piled off, all 650 of us. And one idiot said, "How do we get there, Sergeant?" He said, "You're standing on it, lad." So I said, "Oh, right." So he said, "Right, I want you all to form into your units and follow the arrows. It's just over 3.5 miles there and 3.5 miles back." And he said, "When I say go, I want you all on the road, and the last group through Apnicary gates will be RTU'd on the spot." We thought, oh, right. So away we went up the road, and we kept about third from the front all the time. We were right up behind them, just waiting for the last 200 or 300 yards. And then we ran it, the last three, and we finished up second out of all that lot. And it must have pleased the Laird of Apnicary. That was Colonel, what was his name? Vaughan. And he was out of the Buffs. And all us 4 lads, we were all out of the 6th Battalion, the Buffs as well.
Oh dear.
And so we all piled in there. We were put in alphabetical order into Nissen huts. A's, B's, C's in one hut, D's, E's and whatever. And there were 10 Nissen huts there, and they hold 30 people. So there must have been just over 300 of us, which would be the whole course. But out of that 300, I think at the end of the time that we were there, which was 3 months, it must have been down to well between 150 and 200. And the rest got RTU.
Did that training prepare you for D-Day?
Yes. Yeah. Oh no, not D-Day. This is long before.
No, but did it help get you toughened up for operations like D-Day?
Yeah. At the end of it, you see, you would go and get your green beret, because they didn't issue green berets until early 42. If you joined before then, you went around with your side hat or peat hat if you were a guardsman. We did the 3 months course. Unfortunately, all the 4 of us Buffs all passed out. And when we went in front of Colonel Vaughan, he was highly delighted that the 4 of us had got through with his regiment, being in his regiment. Highly delighted.
The favouritism there.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
you've got to use it, mate.
Yes, I know.
You've got to use it.
Because our unit was the Beds and Arts, Peter Young. Shall I tell you when I first met Peter Young? Was when I'd just come off of a coal fatigue, and they had a notice up, commandos, volunteers for the commandos, and they had 6 and 8 a day extra. So when I went in front of him, this is gospel truth, he said to me, "Why do you want to join the commandos?" I said, "Well, I like the idea of the 6 and 8 a day." He said, "Well, you are honest." I always remember that.
But why did you sign up for the Commandos? Because why did you sign up for the Commandos? Because you knew you'd be at the tip of the spear. Like operations like D-Day, you'd be at the front.
Well, that's right. Well, we were young, weren't we?
Yeah,
we were young. We wanted to go. Yeah.
It was a case of we wanted to kill Germans.
Yeah,
it's a stupid thing to say, but at that age, that's what we wanted to do.
Well, that's right. They're bombing us in London.
And we had some very, very good people in Apnicary to teach us how to do just that.
Yeah.
We had the Lovett Scouts that taught us camouflage, sniping, all the stuff to do with the country, because the Lovett Scouts were a private army belonging to Lord Lovett. They were a territorial army unit, and they were all sergeant instructors up at Agnacarry.
Yeah.
And the first day that we were there, they took us, he said, I'm going to take you for a short walk this morning. That's the whole 60 of us, which comprises one troop. We took up 2 Nissen huts. And he got us all outside in PT kit. He said, we're going up that hill there. And I looked up and thought, where's the top? It was all up in the clouds. It was about 3,000 or 4,000 feet up. Short walk, he said.
Yeah.
We started off at the bottom, and I said to the other 3 lads, keep well up with this bloke. If you drop back, we're finished. And we kept right, not far from me and you, behind him. All the way up, and I looked back down, and the little specks at the bottom were people still trying to get up this side of this hill. They were people out of, say, Royal Army Service Corps, Ordnance Corps, blokes that had never, like, we were infantry, and we did some pretty hard training, even in the buffs. But these people had they'd seen nothing like this. And we kept right behind him, all the way. He was doing steady paces, not rushing, steady paces all the time. He kept looking round at that lot down the bottom, and he was making notes in his book. And we got within 100 foot of the top, and my silly mate Jimmy Hunt said, let's get past him. I said, you do that, you're finished. I said, no, just stay where we are. And we got right up behind him, and he turned round, he said, well done, you 4, well done. He said, I noticed you're out in the buffs. The old man will be, he said, the old man will be very pleased with this.
It's the old cat badge mafia, isn't it?
Yeah.
But did you ever, when you're taking part in operations like D-Day,
Yes.
did you ever regret that you were the tip of the spear? Did you not think, oh, I wish I was still in the buffs, I'd be landing on D+3?
We're not being funny, we'd had, before D-Day, had other landings, quite a few, behind the lines and all that.
Up in Sicily.
Up in Sicily.
We were in the initial landings of Sicily. We had to take a gun battery, and we did training for this up in Suez. And it was so hot there that we could only train between 2 o'clock in the morning and about 8, 9 o'clock.
Yes.
It was getting, the temperature was getting over 100. And we used to get up, and the Royal Engineers built us a dummy gun battery, 5 kilometres or 5 miles from the tented camp we were in. And we had to do that in 90 minutes.
Yes.
Because the Corps Commander came up to see Durnford Slater, who was our CO. He said, I want this battery knocked out in 90 minutes, Slater. Now, Colonel Slater said, yes, sir, we'll do it in 90. In actual fact, we did it in 86 minutes on the actual job. Yes. And we did this training, and God almighty, with the heat and the flies, we had no mosquito nets. So when we'd done all this training, we're coming back covered in sweat. And you lay on your blankets, that's all we would, no beds, lay on blankets. And you've got to keep the flies off you, because you're all sweaty, and flies love all that. Then you'd be covered in flies, you're going like this, and you had the choice of pulling your blanket over your head and sweating to death, or sitting up and knocking all the flies off. And we were there for how long? 6 weeks?
That's right.
6 weeks.
That's right.
So by the time it comes to D-Day, in the summer of 1944,
yes,
you guys were pretty tough.
Well,
yeah,
we'd done it a little bit, and we was used to it a bit. It became a bit natural.
Yes, we were.
Still apprehensive, still, you're a little bit inside you, but you went.
Coming in on that landing craft then, coming in on that landing craft,
yes.
Nervous?
Well, of course, everyone is, but you don't see, you got to get off and get up,
This is where your training comes in.
Yeah,
Training and discipline.
Yeah, he fell in the water, he tells me. Yeah,
On D-Day,
he was skiving.
On
He
D-Day.
fell in the water.
You fell in the water?
Fell in the
Yeah,
water.
well, the landing ships that we went on,
There was
they had big ramps
Yeah.
that were on, flat on the desk.
yeah.
And the matlows pushed these ramps forward as we were doing the run in.
Sailors, man.
And the ramps went down plonk, and the sea was very, very rough.
Oh,
Blokes were seasick coming over,
sure.
and the waves were crashing, and the boat was moving. You can imagine what was happening to people on the ramp when the boat is moving, and a huge shell landed about 30 foot away, caused a huge wave that pushed the front of the boat
One
over.
of our boats.
And Johnny Downing got a chunk of shrapnel in his bottom from
Yeah.
this shell. And I fell in the water. Unfortunately, it was only about that deep. And I still went under with all the weight of kit I had on me. I went under and pushed his feet. And I just came out of the water and it only came up to there. I thought, oh, what a no. And I started to rush up the beach, and there was a young soldier. He was trying to dig a hole in a slip trench
Yeah.
in the beach. And the waves were crashing down and filling his thing up with water. And I grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and I dragged him all the way up. I shouldn't have done that. I should have left him and got off the beach, because that's what they tell you. You've got to get off that beach as fast as you can. But I couldn't leave him there. And I dragged him all the way up the back. I got him up the back, dumped him down. I said, where's your unit? He said, I don't know. I thought, oh, for God's sake, he wasn't one of ours, that was for a fact. And he left his rifle down in the hole. I said, where's your bloody rifle? He said, it's back down now. I said, well, go and bloody well get it.
Yeah.
Sorry about all the swearing.
That's all right.
He, you know, there was a battalion landed in front of us, the East Yorkshire, and yeah, they hadn't done it before, poor souls, but they done their best there. Yeah, and we went through there.
I've never seen them.
Yeah, I heard it.
Well, you see, he was in a different landing craft to me, and we landed on Queen Red Beach of Sewell, which was the extreme left-hand beach. And my landing craft was one of the extreme left-hand things, because the casino, I walked past the big round bases of the casino after I dropped this lad off. And so Fred was sort of way up on the right from me.
Yeah.
Fred,
Yes.
what did the beach look like when you landed?
Well, I run so fast, I would have beat Jesse Owens for that day. I mean it, yeah. I suppose I was frightened out of my life a little bit, but no, I've done landing before. But, well, there was a few poor boys lying about, but you just keep going. You've got to get off that beach, else you're brown bread, isn't you?
I think that the best view of the beach was as we were doing the running in. As we were 23 landing ships was taking the whole of No. 1 Commando Brigade over, all line astern. We got up to a line of battleships that were broadside on, and they were firing broadsides all the time. Quite a noise.
The noise.
Mate. And we then got past the line of battleships, and we went from line astern into line abreast, all spread out. So we all went in, all line abreast, and we looked at the beach. I looked at from the front of my landing craft. It was a mass of flame and smoke, and I thought nobody could survive in that. Nobody. And 200 yards out was a rocket ship. It used to be a converted tank landing craft, and they got about 1,000 rockets on it, and it was being operated by the Royal Marines. And they were firing these rockets. They were going down on the beach. We thought there can't be anybody there, but there was people still in pill boxes up the back, up near the road, firing Spandos.
Yeah.
And a trench full of people with a Spando and the remnants of what I would think would be a platoon, about half a dozen, that was all. And we were through them all over. They were all taken prisoner or killed or whatever, and that was that.
Okay, we're going to have a quick break there because
Right.
we're just going to change this thing.
Just keep on.